I will admit that my old self is wrong about DeWanna Bonner. Yes, I was wrong. I'll admit it. The reason I was wrong is because I grew up thinking that top players want to play around other top players. You get the chance to help guide young players. That should be what you want to do. I mean, you take a look at what Larry Bird and the rest of the Celtics had to say whenever Len Bias passed away. Len Bias was supposed to be somebody that would be transcendent, help keep the Celtics going strong. And those players that were known to be legends, McHale and DJ and all those players and Larry Legend all wanted to play with him and help shape him. I was thinking DeWanna Bonner would have wanted to help shape the Fever because of Caitlin Clark, Lexi Hull, Sophie Cunningham, Aliyah Boston, all of these players who are going to continue the legacy of the WNBA. I thought, hey, DeWanna Bonner would want to shape something like this because that's how I grew up. The old school players, some of them didn't, but a lot of them did. They wanted to play with the best. You listen to Kobe Bryant. Yes, he was an egotistical individual, but when you proved yourself, he was willing to go out of his way to work with you and carry you to that next level. Well, DeWanna Bonner, in a lot of ways, is supposed to be a WNBA legend. Look at where she is when it comes to so many stat lines. I covered that in a video. I would think that she would want to work with what the Fever have, but I was wrong. So I'm going to discuss this a little bit.
Hey folks, this is Paul with Redneck Sports. I want to thank you for viewing my video, and I want to give you one thought process. There was a famous coach at the University of Tennessee by the name of General Robert Nealon. He had 6 maxims, but number 2 maxim is what everybody should apply to their life. Play for and make the breaks. When one comes your way, score. That's how to live your life right there.
One of the problems of having been around for a while, you sometimes forget that things change a little too quickly for you. You take a look at, say, Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was wanting to learn. That's one of the reasons why he went to the University of Tennessee instead of going to Ole Miss like his father and like his brother Coop, because he wanted to be around David Cutcliffe. Was one of the better coaches out there, especially for somebody like Peyton Manning, and they got along. You take a look at how many players wanted to learn from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Or how about this? Charles Barkley, even though he didn't want to go to the Sixers, when he got there, he actually listened to Dr. J. He listened to Moses Malone. And Moses Malone and Dr. J were willing to give their advice and help guide Charles Barkley. DeWanna Bonner had that opportunity. She could have gone into the Fever as a legend because she is going to be a WNBA legend. 10 years from now, people will probably forget all about the drama that is currently going on at the Fever with Bonner. She's going to have all these stat lines that people are going to talk about until they're broken as the players get better and as players evolve. But DeWanna Bonner could have come away from the Fever not like she is, which is sort of like, best thing I can put it is Rodman leaving the Lakers. That's the best I can think of. She could quite literally have come away looking more like Steve Nash or Charles Barkley when I mean, Charles Barkley passed it on. Charles Barkley sat at the feet. Well, he didn't. He more like stood there beside legends like Dr. J. and Moses Malone. I mean, those two really were legends and still are. And then when he got older, when he was somewhat at that legendary point in his career, he went to Kevin Garnett, and Garnett's teammates and gave them advice that Garnett talks about. Bonner could have done that, and it saddens me. It really does. It saddens me that she has decided not to do that. She's going for the money and whatnot, and okay, fine. She wants to go to Phoenix or wherever it is, but she's caused a fan base to dislike her when she could have done so much and would have been able to help shape a team that people are paying attention to. She could be there at a point that everybody is, watching. And this hurts the game, in my opinion. It does. It hurts the game. And I don't know, why. Why do you do that? But we watch sports to get away from the humdrum of our life. I probably will be able to afford tickets to sporting events sometime soon, but I don't want to go to most sporting events. Seriously, I don't. I don't want to pay the money to go to a college football game in which I know that most of the players are mercenaries. I love my Tennessee Balls. What Nico Iamaliaba did, yes, I'm well aware that even before that you weren't supposed to be paying these players, and these players were getting paid under the table. Okay, fine. I understand that. When I was at, when I was doing some work around Knoxville, Tennessee, I ended up getting my, a company that I worked for gave me something to go do at a house, and I saw the name on the ticket that I had, and it was a University of Tennessee player who had gone professional, and I'm thinking, holy cow, I get to meet this guy. Well, it turned out that I didn't meet him, but I met a current Tennessee player staying at a house that was in the name of a player that was playing in the pros. And the player that was there, the current player that was there, was a new player that was, really highly touted. And he even went to the NFL. We know that that stuff went on. But still, those players carried on tradition. You know that the current NFL player was just carrying on a tradition to help the younger players. What happened to that? What happened to folks that get the opportunity to move to help guide this younger crew coming in? What happened to those? Why did we turn into a mercenary culture when it comes to sports? Now, a lot of sports still have that, hey, we're going to help each other out, but the WNBA, the NBA, NFL, all these sports have, and college football, college basketball, have turned into, oh, we care more about the money. We don't care about the fan base. And that's what's going to hurt. When I was growing up, I got to watch Larry Bird stay with the Celtics his entire career. I got to watch Magic Johnson stay with the Lakers his entire career. Those were big deals. Yes, Michael Jordan ended up playing for the Wizards for a short while, but how many people actually care about that? Look how long he stayed with the Bulls. The only reason he retired the first time was over the death of his father. And there can be all kinds of conflicting emotions when you have a parent die. I can understand that. But he came back and he got them three more rings. Now we have players that are trying to build up on super teams and they don't really understand it. You know, there's no natural evolving. You take a look at the late 50s all the way through to 69, though that Celtics team. People have called that a super team. It had Bob Cousy, Heinsohn, Russell, Casey, Havlicek, all of these players. But here's the thing. Only some of them came in via trades. Red Auerbach actually wasn't wanting Bob Cousy. He found out that he was wrong, but he didn't want Bob Cousy. He wanted Bill Russell, but he hadn't actually seen Bill Russell. He didn't know what he was getting when it came to just the magnitude of player he was getting. But he did want Tommy Heinsohn. He did want John Havlicek. And you saw what that was. But this wasn't about building a super team. It was just about building a team. You take a look at when they built the Lakers. Until they brought in Wilt Chamberlain, that team had Elgin Baylor and Jerry West and a few others. You know, Pat Riley ended up there. But that was built via the draft, except for Wilt Chamberlain, pretty much. You take a look at those teams, now you take a look at it today, you don't get that. And it's hurt the sport and a lot of I don't know how you folks feel about it, but for me it's like, you know, how can you really root for a team because you're wanting to enjoy, hey, these players are coming back. I want to see how these players evolve. And DeWanna Bonner had that opportunity. She could have helped guide people. She could have looked away, hey, I'm getting max salary. I can be that voice of experience for these new players and help guide them and have them not repeat the mistakes that I made. This is not doing good for the WNBA. Now, I want to say this. I want to thank you folks for listening to me. Hey, I'll get things wrong. I'm well aware that I will get things wrong. I honestly do like what DeWanna Bonner has done in her career. I will say that. But I was wrong about how she would feel about getting the chance to actually make a difference on a team that is making a difference for the WNBA. You know, Caitlin Clark's having a shooting slump. Well, the rest of her team's standing up. Aliyah Boston is standing up. Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hull, these players are standing up around her. Now they're going to be bringing in Ari McDonald, who I think is a great player. I like what she did when she was there before. But it saddens me that an old head of the sport could have that chance. Somebody that, in all honesty, I could have respected, but has decided that money and attitude is more important than getting a chance to make a difference in a way that, say, Bill Russell did, or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did, or Dr. J, or Moses Malone did in the later parts of their career, or, you know, Charles Barkley. We need to get to that point where we have athletes that actually want to stick around and just enjoy the game, because that's what we want to see when we're watching these games. Is we're wanting to see continuity. We want to see some fun. We want to, I want to get to know a team so I can stick with that team. One of the reasons why I loved the Bulls was because I knew Scottie Pippen was going to be there. I knew that Michael Jordan was going to be there. And when they were there, the people that they brought around them, the stories of them bringing in Rodman. Rodman was a good fit. Those last 3 years of seeing Rodman, Pippen, and Jordan, Steve Kerr. I even liked it when Horace Grant was there. I don't understand why people don't want to be part of something like that, because I think that the Fever, for all the problems that they're having right now, will evolve into a team that will be enjoyable for the casuals and for even those that get a little bit into it, because that's what we want in a sports team. And I think these athletes need to learn that. And oh, but I can't get. You actually probably get far more into it because people will be much more appreciative of you. And that love will translate into you getting more opportunities for money, and people will show appreciation in all kinds of ways that will transcend that immediate paycheck. But maybe I'm just too old and too set in my ways. I want to hear what you think. This has been Paul with Redneck Sports. Y'all have a good day now. Bye.
I want to thank you for watching my video. And if you like what you saw, like, subscribe, and comment. Y'all have a good day now.